Okay, this is a first because I've never done a Zoom call with someone and recorded it. All right, ready? Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. Where do you want us looking? Each other or like
Well,
a
we'll
little
be
both?
like this and
Yeah,
then we'll
okay.
kind of do this.
A little of both.
Okay. Three, two, one. So I want to talk to women going through a divorce or who are already divorced. And actually, I want to talk to all women. It doesn't even matter if you're happily married. This will be a great episode for you because there are certain things I've noticed that women do that really bother me because they deserve to treat themselves better. So I want to talk about 6 things I want all women to stop doing so that you can have a better life, a happier life, and have more self-love and be more secure. And I wrote this article. So it's an article also on Divorce Girl Smiling, but I chose my guest carefully to talk about this because I really feel like she gets it also. And my guest is Joanne Littman. She's sitting right here.
Hi, Jackie.
And Joanne and I have known each other for several years. We're both divorced, we're both moms. And we have these conversations a lot, Joe, right? About
Mhm.
like how people have to treat themselves better.
Absolutely.
Women are so hard on ourselves. So I thought Joe was a great person to talk to about this. I want to mention that Joe is a financial advisor and her niche is helping divorced people going through a divorce. Um, Sorry, start that over. And I also want to mention that Joe is a financial advisor who has a niche in helping people either who are going through a divorce or already divorced. And so these issues, you probably see it with your clients,
Absolutely.
and women just aren't very nice to
It
themselves.
happens, right? We have to fix this.
All right. So the article that I wrote was called Stop Shaming Yourself and Stop Apologizing. So those are 2 of the things we're going to talk about. So I'm debating whether I should say this, but I just edit that part out. Sorry, Rob. Okay. So let's get into the 6 things I want you to stop doing to yourself because you deserve so much better. So the first one, we said it, is stop shaming yourself. And what I mean by this is when women get divorced, they feel shame. They feel like, oh, I'm such a failure. My sisters are still married.
Mhm.
Why did my marriage fail? I was a failure. Why couldn't I be successful? Why wasn't I a better wife? People also shame themselves about food, about anything.
Jobs, finances,
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
how they spend money,
Mhm.
where they live. If they buy themselves something nice, they feel guilty about it. All right, tell me your take on this.
Well, I think that it probably comes from somewhere that, it's probably necessary to kind of leave behind, right? And start a new path where you don't feel shame for things. I remember when I first got divorced and I'd meet somebody new and they'd say, "Oh, what does your husband do?" or something. And I'd be like, "Oh, I'm divorced,"
Yeah, like
like
we're
that.
ashamed of it.
Right. But it didn't take long until people would say, like, "Oh, what does your husband do?" And I'd be like, "I don't have one of those." So I think like you just have to like change the perspective on what you say and how you say it. And this is who we are. And if other people aren't going to respect it, then we don't need those people in our lives, but we don't need to make ourselves feel worse to kind of get to their level.
Now, do you feel like as time goes by when someone's divorced, you become more comfortable in your skin and you really are okay with it? Like for
Absolutely.
people who are listening, who are thinking, oh, I can relate to what she just said about being embarrassed about not having a husband or feeling ashamed. As time goes by, you really become like empowered,
Absolutely. I was
right?
going to use exactly that same word. It's harder at the beginning, right? It's probably not what any of us wanted when we got married, right? So it's a transition time, but I think kind of owning that empowerment and speaking it from a position of strength, I think is really
I
necessary.
cannot agree more. And what about like food shaming? Why do women do
I don't
this?
know.
Order the pizza. get the burger.
And don't apologize
And
for it.
by the way, how you digest the food has a lot to do with how you're feeling about it. If you get a burger and you're like eating it and you're like, oh, I'm such a fat pig. I can't believe I'm eating
Mm,
this. Your digestive system will act completely different than if you're like, oh my gosh, this is so delicious. I'm
right,
so glad I got this. It's not like you're doing it every day.
right, exactly right. I mean, I just think that we make decisions for ourselves for lots of reasons, and we don't really need to explain them or carry some weight about them. If you thought you maybe shouldn't have based on what you also had for lunch that day, well, you did, and so be it. And like, okay, make a better decision next time.
And I find that as I'm getting older, I swear, maybe this is just new for me, but I feel like sometimes I say to myself, give yourself a break.
Yeah,
You don't have to work every night
that's right.
until 10 o'clock at night. Like, if you want to lay on the couch and watch Netflix and binge watch, just do it.
Absolutely. I'm finding that too. I think, kind of rest and restoration is really important. And sometimes we find out too later after we've kind of run ourselves a little too ragged. But yeah, I'll rest and I don't need to, feel shameful about that at all. I think it's
Right.
good for me and it's what I need and I'll do it when I need it.
I love it. I love it. All right, moving on to number two. Stop apologizing. So I've written a lot of articles like that people don't know how to say they're sorry. Sometimes men say I love you, but they don't know how to say they're sorry.
Mhm.
But there comes a time where maybe you shouldn't be saying you're
Sure.
sorry and you do. Any examples?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually had this conversation with a lot of people. There's a friend of mine who everything that happened, she would apologize. Like if I can't even think of something. If she put something down on a table and it fell off the table, right? She didn't mean to, right? I'm sorry. If I had to change something, I don't know, like I don't know, like the phone disconnected. I'm so sorry. And everything's I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I found like it was like diminishing her. She said it in every
Yeah,
other sentence.
why
It felt
so
like,
apologetic?
right, like things happen, and
Mhm.
I totally agree. When it's time to apologize, you need to apologize, and sometimes that's uncomfortable. But about trivial things, or I learned somewhere somebody said, start flipping from the I'm sorry to thanking the other person. So like if I was going to say the example of if I was late, which I was late to meet you today, instead of being like, oh, I'm so sorry I'm late, which is sort of valid, but you could say thank you so much for waiting for me.
I love that.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do this on a different day when it worked out better for my schedule. And you learn to say thank you for things, which people love to be thanked. And it just has much more of a positive feeling than you're sorry for so much stuff. Like, I think thanking people, if you could find the opposite example of that and always thank people instead of apologize, it'd be so much better.
I just love it. You're listening to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff, and I'm your host. And today I am here with Joanne Littman, a divorced mom, a dear friend of mine. And Joe is also a financial advisor. And I want to just tell my listeners this, Joe. You've been in the business for many years. You're experienced. You developed this niche of helping people going through a divorce. And what people tell me they love about working with Joe is they can call her and ask her a question about anything, and she will try to help you. And if she can't, she'll connect you with other people who can. Joanne takes portfolio sizes of any amount and sells many diverse products, insurance, but of course also investing. So we are going to take a short break from our lovely conversation of 6 things you should stop doing if you want to be happier and healthier. And then we're going to be right back with 4 more. Welcome back to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff and I'm your host. Stop shaming yourself, stop apologizing, and we are going to list 4 other things that I want you to stop doing if you want to be happier and healthier and enjoy your life more. I'm here today with my guest, dear friend, Joanne Littman. Joanne is a financial advisor. She's, sorry, I just spaced. If you want to find information on Joanne, you can find her in the trusted professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. All right, I'm moving on to number 3, which is, oh, this is a good one. stop making an effort with people if it's not reciprocated.
I have fallen into this trap so many times. Yeah,
Same.
I love to give people the benefit of the doubt. I love to do things for people, right? I don't keep score. I don't really, I think that's a normal part of relationships. And sometimes it ebbs and flows, right? When you can give more, you need more, and it just kind of goes. But sometimes there comes a point where you're like, why am I the only? This is a very one-sided relationship.
I know. And then it makes you feel bad about
Mhm.
yourself. And like, for example, let's say you're always calling this person to make plans.
Mhm.
I have many friends like this, by the way, and I love them so much. But if I didn't pick up the phone, I probably would never see them.
Mhm.
And I think most people are really busy and overwhelmed. It's not personal. My friends jump at the chance to get together with me when I call them. That's how I know they really love me.
Sure.
But like, there comes a time where you can't just keep asking somebody for something, and and then they never call you.
Right. It's kind of hard because I, I've always said, like, I'm not the best planner, right? But I'll say yes to anything. But I still make sure I keep in touch with people, right? And so it's not, like, it can be hard to be, somebody can have one skill set, right? And somebody can have another skill set. Somebody can be at a busier time in their life, maybe little kids in the house, and somebody doesn't, right? So I think we have to be gracious about that. But overall, in the big picture, I absolutely agree with you. And I've found the best test is maybe a little bit of distance, right?
Well, or
Yeah,
you could talk to the
sure.
person
I've
and
done
say,
that too.
look, we've had plans probably 8 times this year, and I think I've initiated every single time.
Mhm.
Maybe you could start calling me because I'm busy too.
Right.
But I do think that people are always delighted to hear from
Yeah.
people to make plans, because most people I feel are just super busy and they feel overwhelmed and they don't think of it. And my dad actually, the reason I think I'm this way is he used to say fun is a job. And what he
So
meant by
great.
that is you have to put things in the calendar and focus on your social life, because if you don't, nothing will ever happen.
Very good
That's why,
advice.
like a trip, just plan the trip and you're going to make it work, because you don't want to pay the fees to the airlines to change the trip. So
Right.
you're going to plan everything else around it.
Right.
The work stuff will always get
That's
done.
true.
But if you make fun a job, right?
Yeah.
Make fun a job. Fun is a job.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you do that, then you're calling all these people and you're filling up your schedule, and that's really
It is
nice.
exhausting to be the only one that does those things. So I agree. I found creating a little distance and seeing what happens in that distance can sometimes tell you if that value of that
Right.
relationship is worthwhile or not.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Number 4, stop saying yes to
And
everything.
this comes with age.
Yeah.
I was young. I said, yeah, at work, whatever. I said yes to everything. Oh yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll get it done by tomorrow. Whatever it was, I'll do it. And oh my gosh, like age, you look back and you're like, okay, they don't need it tomorrow. I don't have to be the one that does this. I don't have to be the only one that does all of these things. And it's really okay to say, no, I don't have the capacity to do that right
And
now.
stop feeling obligated.
Right.
Like, if you don't want to go to something, you shouldn't go.
That's right.
But sometimes you have to go to things to support people.
True.
Like, I have a really good friend, and she is an event planner, and she wanted to get people to this event.
Mm.
She has done so much for me. And I remember I was on the phone with my sister and I'm like, oh, I'm on my way to this event and I don't even want to go. I'm totally doing it for my friend,
That's a good reason.
but it is a good reason.
Yeah.
She was so happy I went, and guess what? I ended up having a
Oh,
great
look at that. Right.
So shocking,
Yeah, but different reasons, right? You might not have been that interested in the event, but you went for her. That's a good reason to say yes.
Right. But if you feel like you have to say yes all the time, and then you're sitting there going, why am I doing this? I
Mhm.
just want a night to
Right.
myself. I just want to stay home.
Or it's something that doesn't feed you or makes you feel bad or something. You can say no. You don't have
Yeah.
to do things.
And let's talk about the toxicity you need to get out of your life.
Mm.
Toxic people.
Mhm.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I've had work situation a long time ago when I was very young was toxic, and I went to really her boss, right? And I walked into his office and I said, this may be really bad for my career, but I have to tell you what's happening. And it worked out great. I mean, he was like, okay, I think this is filling in some blanks for me that I wasn't sure how things were going. And he became a very, very influential mentor in my life, and I don't think it would have happened otherwise. I had a friend I had to kind of, it felt like a little bit like a divorce. I had to sort of cut ties with a very toxic friend, and it was the right thing to do. I did. I mean, I told her. I talked to her. I didn't just go. I talked to her. I told her why. We cried. It was, but it just needed to not. We could not be.
Wow.
Yeah, it was tough.
Mhm.
It was
I've
tough.
actually been broken up with by a girl. I
Yeah.
was. This girl sent me an email once and said like, "Hey, I really respect you and I like you a lot, but we just don't have a lot in common and I really don't want to see you anymore."
Wow.
It was so
That's so
hurtful.
weird.
It was so sad. It was very
Wow.
hurtful to me.
Mine was like a 20-year friendship. That was like, I mean, it was like really, it was, but it just, it wasn't good. It wasn't
Well,
good.
I'm really, I guess, saying proud of you, Joe,
Yeah.
because that's not
It took a
easy
long
to
time. It
do.
didn't just like happen like that. It was something
Mhm,
that was building,
mhm.
but I needed to for me, and it was the right thing to do. I think it's probably better for her too. I mean, I hope it is. I don't wish anything bad for her. I hope it's better for her too.
All right, next one is stop overworking yourself. Now, I have to give a shout out to Tracy Conan, who is the founder of Divorce Money Guide. She is the one who got me to write this article because she posted on LinkedIn, stop shaming yourself and stop overworking yourself. So this whole thing was started by Tracy Conan. And I want to tell my listeners really quick, Divorce Money Guide is a program you can join if you think your spouse might be hiding money or you want to empower yourself when it comes to finances and things as it pertains to your divorce. So it's a great thing to look up. Just go to divorcemoneyguide.com. But I just wanted to shout out and thank Tracy because she's so smart and she was the one who really started all this. So how do you feel about people overworking themselves?
I did it. I mean, again, I think we learn maybe from our mistakes, and that sometimes comes with age. I mean, I did it. I worked like crazy. I traveled for work. I had 2 little kids at home, get them to bed. I'd work at night. And it was just about like having everything be as good, whatever that would mean, as best as possible. And I thought that was my only focus. It literally made me sick. I mean, I was physically making myself sick. I just didn't know it till months and months and even, years
All
into
right,
it.
now let me ask you this. If you didn't overwork
Sure.
yourself, do you think you would have gotten the success that you
Yes,
got?
I do.
See, I
Yeah.
was hoping you would say
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I don't think it really changed anything for anyone else. I
Mhm.
really don't. I mean, why I had to push, beat deadlines by that much or deliver things so far. I mean, it was unusual, right? There's a time, right, when we all have to kick it in and get something done and we want it. That's different. This was day after day, every single day. And I was basically working 16 plus hours a day, right? But
Yeah.
nobody expected that.
And
If
one,
anything, I poorly then set expectations of how
right,
fast I could do things.
right.
And it set this trend that was actually very, very bad.
And like you have to have a good quality of life,
Yeah.
even if you're passionate and you love your job. Like I really regret when my kids were in high school and I was really getting into the whole divorce girl smiling thing. And I also had this other full-time job. And literally I'd be at my computer and I'd be like, uh-huh, I'm listening, honey. Okay. And like I
Yeah.
really regret that now. And now when my kids, they're both in college and they call, I literally make myself get up from my computer and go sit on the couch so that I can give them my undivided attention.
I do similar things. No phones at dinner, like all those kinds of things. And I think it's really important. I think it's also the right example for our kids. Like we need balance in our lives. We need to be fully present in all the parts of our life. I do listen to voicemails or read emails from clients in the evening or on weekends because I don't want them unnecessarily worrying about something if that's what it is. And if it's not, then it'll wait for Monday. But I have called people back on a weekend. They're like, oh my God, I didn't think you'd call. And I said, maybe they're worried about something and it's not valid, right? I don't want them thinking about it all weekend. So I quick call, it's 2 minutes.
So
it's
nice.
fine.
But also, like one thing I do is I'll have dinner with my family, or my boyfriend if my kids are not here, and have a whole night. And then, like after we do the dishes and whatever, I'll just go look at my computer and make sure there's nothing urgent.
Yeah.
And it does give it a nice balance because then you don't have to wake up the next morning and have this anxiety that you're going to have all this
Sure,
stuff or
I
that
agree.
somebody really needed you.
Right.
So, but you look at the emails, this can wait, this
Yep.
can wait. Oh, this person might want to hear from
I
me.
used to even the stuff that could wait, I used to still be like, oh, but I could do it now. And now I've gotten better at being like, no, I
Right.
could do something else for myself, even if it is rest or turning my brain off a little bit or whatever it might be.
Going for a walk,
Sure.
watching a Netflix show,
Getting
playing
something
a
done around the house I
game.
wanted to get done around
Yes.
whatever it is. So I've definitely gotten better at that. And I think the earlier we can learn that, the better it is for ourselves. And we're better in all parts of our lives when we do that.
Okay, now I want to bring up one more example of this.
Sure.
So I usually do these yoga classes and they start at 9 a.m. So I get up at 6 and I've already been working from 7 to like 8:30, quarter to 9. Then I'll go to the yoga class, then I'll come back. Okay. That's why I never schedule appointments for 9 or 10. All right. So there's a lot of days where I'll be sitting there and I'll be going, I just can't go to the yoga class. I just have way
Mm,
too many emails. And let me tell you something. I want my listeners to hear this very loud and clear. Go to the yoga class.
for sure.
Unless you just don't feel like
Right.
it,
That's different.
but go.
Don't-
Your emails can wait and you will love yourself when you come out of it and you'll be calm and you'll be breathing better and life will seem so much better. It's just a good thing to do.
Absolutely. I agree.
All right, getting down to the last one.
Mm.
Stop dwelling on things that you should have done. And what I said here is that regret is a normal emotion. We all have regrets, but one of the most unproductive things a person can do is dwell on what they should have done. Why didn't I pay closer attention to the finances when I was married? Why didn't I see that he was cheating? It was so obvious. Why didn't I leave 5 years ago? Why didn't I buy that property in Florida? You could go on and
For
on.
sure.
But what happens when people dwell?
Well, it's so interesting because my first favorite thing to say is stop shitting on yourself. Right?
Yeah.
They like just can't.
That's a good book title.
You can do it, Jackie. And then the other thing I say is like, well, there's two ways to look at it. One, I always say, what would you tell your sister or your best girlfriend? Because chances are it's not the same thing you're telling yourself. You would
Mhm.
say, no, you did the right things because that's what you needed to do at the time. You did that for your kids. You did this, you did that. That's the best you knew then. Now you know better. You would give your friend or your sister a pep talk. But we don't say that to ourselves all the time. So I often say to people, talk to yourself like you're talking to your sister or your
Mhm,
best friend. I think
mhm.
that's really important. And the second thing, as I say, is if this is how we got here, right? So
Mhm.
if this is how we got here, let's figure out how to move forward. And looking back at all those things, let's make it not matter anymore, right? But we can't keep saying, well, when I talk to people, I say there's two rules when you work with me. I don't get to judge and you don't get to apologize, right? Because it's like it doesn't, maybe there's things that happen that we don't want to repeat. Okay, that's valid. But other than that, like let's look forward. Let's figure out how we will do it going forward, not worry about what we did.
Because what good is it gonna do?
It
It's
just
gonna
makes
make you be mad at yourself, feel worse, and then also you can turn this around instead of saying like, here, what was one of them? Why didn't I pay closer attention to the finances when I was married? Well, I'm paying close attention to them
That's
now.
right. Or you had somebody that was being sneaky about it. I don't know, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it's not all on us. In a marriage, it's a partnership. It's a natural division of labor. Everybody doesn't do everything. If you weren't paying as close attention to the finances, I guarantee you were spending more time kids, school, doctor's appointments, shopping, cleaning, cooking, managing the house, or something else, right? And you just can't. Impossible to do it all.
Right.
And a good, healthy marriage shouldn't have you looking back and saying, I should have done that. So
Right.
it's not all your fault. And it's time to move forward with a
Right.
different view.
And listen, I just want to tell everyone I have made some really stupid mistakes in life and I beat myself up plenty and I shouldn't have for so long.
I agree. I have plenty of things that I did spend time saying should have, would have, wish I did, wish I didn't, whatever it might be. It's not productive. It buys you nothing. And it's time to look forward and do better.
And I remember one time I was like crying to my mom and I was like, I would do every single thing different in my life. There's not one thing I've done. And she's like, I'm sorry, there's two things you've
That's
done.
right.
Your two children.
That's right.
I mean, how can you regret that?
That's right.
All right. I want to end this podcast by telling you a few things that you should start doing. And we'll just run through these really quick because we're kind of running out of time. Forgive yourself. Probably the biggest reason people can't move on in divorce is because they're not forgiving
I agree.
themselves.
Say it out loud. I forgive myself.
Look in the mirror and say, I forgive you. You did the best you could.
Absolutely.
All right, next one. Appreciate what and who you have in your life.
If
So-
it's one person, two people, whatever it is, your whole journey to here got you with those people, appreciate that and move forward with them.
Number 3, working on yourself. That's what you should start doing.
Yeah.
Work on yourself. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, you need to do this, this, and this. Working on yourself means what you feel you need to do.
Absolutely. We're always improving or wanting to maybe feel better about anything or take up a new hobby or whatever, get involved in a different kind of charity or something. Whatever you want to do, you should do it.
So I want to tell my listeners really quick, and Joe, you might not or might know this. I recently started cooking healthy, homemade, delicious things with, by the way, Hannah McKittrick, culinary and wellness instructor. She's amazing, completely lit something under me that brought out my love of cooking. I was never a cook. My sisters and my mom are great cooks. They all think I'm like, whatever. Okay, just go to the McDonald's drive-through. We know that's what you do all the time. Not true anymore. I have been making these meals and I am 59 years old and I am cooking and truly enjoying it like I never thought I would. So if I can change and do that, that to me was something I really wanted to work on and I could not love it anymore.
Amazing.
I'm very happy and you can do it too. And Joe, I know you're a really good
I
cook.
love to cook. I find a lot of, I love to cook for other people. I like to cook for myself. I mean, I love it, but it's not everybody's thing. But
Right.
if you thought you just couldn't or didn't, or I'm not a good cook, you can be if you
You
want to
can
be.
do anything,
Mhm,
really.
definitely.
And then start having fun. Stop saying the word someday, just do it now.
But no better advice than that.
And then please, this is a great way to end this. Start loving yourself. You're not perfect. Nobody is, but you're lovable.
I agree.
Joe, thank you so much for being on the show. It was great as always.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love to do these. I love the community that you've built and the help that you provide people. I love to be a small part of it.
And this is so authentic because now Joe and we're going to have lunch and we'll sit and talk just like this. We
Yep.
should just keep the recording on.
If that's what people want.
So thank you so much for listening, everyone. I want to let you know if you like what you heard and you want to talk to Joe about finances, or you have any questions during or after divorce, you can find her in the trusted professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. And you can also go to divorcedgirlsmiling.com to listen to more podcasts, read articles, download my mobile app, or sign up for my free consult. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you real soon.